Hello, y'all. It's 2:29 p.m. So I had applied. It was like over a month ago for it was a fill-in or like substitute cleaner position, and it was through a company called Office Pride, and the manager's name is Terry Mercer, and so the job location is not all that far from here. So we scheduled an interview for 2 o'clock. Remember, I told y'all that due to the gang stalking, that I was suffering, being sleep deprived, and so I didn't even get to sleep that well, and I didn't even get much sleep taking. And I caught myself trying to, I guess, 11:30 take a nap. But due to the fact that it's especially daytime and I had to hear all those loud cars passing by with I mean with the loud bass and the loud music and just traffic and everything, I keep my earbuds in. So otherwise I would have set my alarm for about 1:50 p.m. But because of the gang stalking noise harassment was the reason why I didn't set my alarm. So I finally got a little bit of sleep with the nap, and then I woke up and it was about 2:10 and he had already called and I had just missed it. And so then I called back and the lady was like, "Oh, well, let me get the manager." So then she put the manager on the phone and I explained my situation. Of course, I couldn't mention what I'm talking about now, but y'all get it. But I was saying that I apologize that I suffer sleep deprivation. I knew the appointment was at 2 o'clock, but I suffer sleep deprivation, and I had finally just randomly dozed off. Well, I didn't randomly doze off, but I was finally tired and sleepy, and so it was just like 10 minutes late, and so, I mean, but say, what if he? I've dealt with employers or something like that. That if an interview was scheduled, they come when they feel like it. They're not always on time. So he got an attitude with me and said, "No, I don't have time. I have two more interviews." And so I'm like, I ain't got. I mean, so I just straight up hung up in his face and blocked his number. That company ain't got to worry about me. And besides, I don't want to do any more cleaning, any janitorial jobs anyway. So, him responding like that, I knew that he would be a narcissistic abuser, and I knew he would be a problem, and he's probably a perp also. But I mean, it's like, where's people's, like, it was only 10 minutes, so it's like, where's people's lenience and compassion these days? You know, no, I don't. I mean, he's like, no, I don't have time. I have two other interviews. You ain't got to worry about me no more. And due to this, the freaking gang stalking setting me back. But you know what? I probably would have been your best freaking worker. I mean, they thought I was the best doggone cleaner at the other school. I mean, at the school that I worked at, and at the and when I was working at fake ass Seville Quarter. So that probably would have been a toxic work environment or I probably could have done the interview, and he probably would have decided, what if I would have been on time and answer when he called, and then and then he ended up deciding not to hire me anyway. So I mean, other targeted individuals, they probably would say that, well, the perps knew that you had a phone job interview, so they probably hit you with directed energy weapons to make you sleep at that time, and which is probably possible. You know, because it was 11:30 and my heart felt heavy, and I was breathing hard, laying down, and I thought I was just gonna take a nap or sleep for a couple hours, but then it took me a while to finally get me some sleep. And so, but I've had, dealing with sleep deprivation in 2017. If there was a time or two when I may have, like, there was a temp service job where I was supposed to work at the convention center, and I was suffering that chronic sleep deprivation in 2018, I think it was. And if the job started at 7 o'clock, and I didn't even get to show up, and at least I was determined to try anyway. And I ended up showing up at like 12:30 or 12:45 or something. And then they had, if I had a conversation with a narcissistic, meddlesome, bus passenger on a transit bus in New Orleans, there would be narcissistic and self-righteous. You knew you were supposed to be there at 7:30. Like you're not perfect. So, and even that fake perp, Social Security ticket to work counselor, who would always think it's funny to give me only the only driving job she wanted me to have is funeral limo positions. And but she tried to tell me, being a school bus driver, that's not a good fit for you. Or being a cab driver, that's not a good fit for you. Or just try to say, well, you're a contractor, you're on your own with the cab driving job, But you expect me to offer and suggest that I take on funeral limo driving positions. It's like, that was a perp thing to do, because any suggestion at death, yeah, you're a perp. And she thought that was funny. So one day I cussed her out, and and she tried to talk about that I use choice words, but all the insults and making fun, like trying to say, you should lose the turban, or it looks like you don't have a bra on, or she would it looks like you don't have a bra on, or you should wear a different bra. And it's like, what are you doing looking at me down here? I mean, at the time I wasn't homeless, but I had a place to live, but I couldn't afford new bras, because there would be bras that they would start poking at me. Poking it, and then I had to take the wire out. And they would be like 10-year-old bras that I just couldn't afford any new ones. I couldn't even afford new clothes despite having a roof over my head. But, it was very hard to be able to afford new clothes and stuff, and living on Section 8 and stuff like that. But he probably wouldn't have wanted to hire, that man probably didn't want to hire me in the first place. But I know the perps are going to have something, give themselves something to gossip about and run their mouths. And as I said, the sleep deprivation tactic that the gang stalkers use to try to make us less functional, and they want to try to make us less functional and then blame us for our own failures. Other true targets, they understand what I'm talking about, because I would have been determined and willing to fight as best as I could to show up on time for the interview or job or whatever. But it's the doggone perps causing whatever sleep deprivation. And they've been having me sleep deprived pretty much all week. And even last week, too. And I guess they've been perping and attacking me very hard because they're probably pissed at me getting my tax refund money back. My own tax refund money back. And I've noticed that the gang stalking has ramped up. It has ramped up. So, it's like the gang stalkers are like snakes and dogs. Like, if they want to say that, they try to make it like as if you, the target, is the one who's always going into harm, putting yourself in a position to be hurt, or you're putting yourself in harm's way. And try to make it like, well, the gang stalkers won't bother you unless you bother them first. In the same way they talk about dogs and snakes or any other harmful animals. And I'm like, no, snakes and dogs would harm you. Or they would try, or for, like one time, I didn't realize it was part of the gang stalking that I would be constantly coming across stray dogs in Denton, Texas, and that have me in fear that they're going to attack me. And they would always, there was a point in time I would always end up being chased by loose dogs. And that was a big problem in Denton, Texas years ago, in 2007 and stuff, when I was kind of new there. And one time, a big dog, ran out of his owner's house, crossed, and was like, rah, 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 and then, highly aggressive. And out of nowhere, I was on the other side of the street minding my business, just taking walk for exercise. And then the dog was like, rah, and then he crossed the street. And then it was an oncoming car that was speeding really fast. And the car hit the dog. And then the dog stopped barking and stopped chasing after me after the car hit the dog. And then the dog just ran the opposite way. I try to not laugh because I don't laugh at, But the owner just drove on and the owner didn't even stop. But, the owner did not stop. But, the dog, he didn't, he wasn't ran over or anything, but it's like I'm trying to avoid laughing at the idea that he just stopped in his tracks and instantly ran the opposite way. But the dog wasn't limping or anything. He just ran off the opposite way. And he quietly ran off the opposite way and then just ran off, and he ran away for good. But I didn't even know, I didn't know the real God at that time, but I still had IDMR cult beliefs, but I felt like I was atheist at the time, and I wasn't going to any Bible class or church or nothing like that. So, in Denton, Texas, I don't think I attended. Oh, yeah, it wasn't until 2010 I finally, attended a couple of fake church services and stuff like that. But, and where they had Celebrate Recovery. And I used to call it Celebrate Hypocrisy. And I didn't realize Celebrate Recovery was another cult. And and stuff like that. It's like a fake Christian version of Alcoholics Anonymous, and Alcoholics Anonymous I heard was a cult too, or any form of anonymous. I heard it's a cult. So I feel bad about people who are considered alcoholics and they're court ordered to join a cult and be part of a cult. So I heard that Alcoholics Anonymous, you don't even get to break free from your addiction. I heard it, you end up being more enslaved to it. And so it's just useless. But anyway, um, so that dog had, God must have been protecting me from that dog chasing after me, because I don't know what damage could have been done to me. I have been afraid of dogs since a former friend that I knew since elementary school. His dog Max bit and he attacked me, and I've been traumatized by big dogs ever since. It's like snakes and dogs I hate of most. I mean, all the animals in the earth, I hate snakes and, well, I like little dogs and puppies. Even if they're puppies that are supposed to grow up to be big dogs, I love it when they're puppies. But once they start to be not as cute and not babies anymore, then I don't like them no more. But small breed dogs, I love those as much as I love cats. But I don't even like cats that are too huge and too big. I just like normal sized cats. But I guess I like a normal and smaller sized cats and dogs, but I do not like big cats and big dogs. But I like tigers and you know and jaguars and stuff. But just stay in your enclosement. Stay in your enclosure. And I can like you. I can like you from a distance. but I mean, I know how harmful lions and tigers and jaguars and the big, huge cats, how dangerous they all are, But, so it's like, but anyway, and then I always say that the Gangstalkers, they scatter like roaches, and I thought I was the only one who felt that way, but other targets say the same thing, that the Gangstalkers, that they scatter like roaches. When the moment you whip your I mean, it seems like my camera is my best weapon, or my best defense against them. But some of them, like the lady y'all saw from the previous Friday night, she was she wanted to try to pretend to be bold and try to make me scared. So anyway, you know, I don't think I can go back to sleep from the so-called nap. That I didn't even get much sleep, but I got about 4 hours of sleep the night before, probably in less than that. And then I try to go to sleep at 11:30 tonight. I mean, this morning, and try to take a nap, and was hoping that I would be up within less than 2 hours. But I don't know what time it was that I didn't even get that much sleep, but I got a little bit of sleep, but not that much sleep. And then I woke up and it was just after 2 o'clock. I mean, it was like you know just after 2 o'clock. I mean, excuse me. See, they're causing me hiccups on purpose. It was about right. I mean, it was like 9 or 10 minutes after 2 o'clock. But that's how it is with narcissistic college professors. When it's okay for them to be 30 minutes late, but if you're 5 minutes late, then you get punished from you get reprimanded for your attendance. You get reprimanded for your attendance if you're 5 minutes late, but they can be 30 minutes late if they want to. So that's narcissistic hypocrisy right there. And then I'm pretty sure that Terry guy is not perfect, and pretty sure he's been late for certain things before, but that smart ass, rude, narcissistic, no, I don't have time. You ain't got to worry about me no more. So, that's why, some people say you should try to get your own business and work for yourself. And, don't be another person's slave. But, I heard it's part of the New World Order to cut out independent anything or individualize anything. So that's why they want the big corporations to flourish. And then with these Illuminati corporations, you always get bad employees. Like, as if there's some spell over them that make them act an asshole. And then dealing with, workplace mobbing or workplace bullying and toxic work environment, or, hostile work environment. Like, with a response like that, I mean, even if I did make a mistake, with a response like that, I already know you're going to be a problem. So, I think I applied for another job earlier this morning through Craigslist, and they're supposed to be a Christian organization. But you'll be surprised about how people who claim to believe in Jesus, you'll be surprised about how they act. Especially in the church. That's why it was like 2012, 13, 14. People were saying that like they were warning you to flee these churches. And, flee these churches because they're full of wickedness, and you really don't know who you're worshiping. And then they have you blindly worshiping the devil in disguise. Like Joel Osteen's church, that's not a church of God. And whoever else, Joyce Meyer and all these, So they say basically form your own church in a very small one and be discreet about it, because it's like communism. Because I heard in communistic countries, if you're not under 5-1, like here, if you're not under 501c3 and you're not controlled by the government, and you form your own church and stuff, then they'll try to get you shut down. And then under 501c3, which is selling out, you can only talk about, it's like you got to act like controlled opposition. In these watered down fake churches nowadays, where football and pimping is more important than, the salvation of your soul. And that's how it is. Churches these days, they want to talk about pimping hoes and talking about and want to rush the church service just to go watch football. That ain't how it's supposed to be. So I wish I could have my own business or something where I can, or my own thing to do where I can just survive. I mean, make just enough money to survive independently without having to panhandle or beg or anything. And then also, but not so, I mean, just enough to survive modestly and not have to worry about, not enough to sell out or nothing, but just, if you get what I mean, not, I don't want to make it big or sell out or anything, but I just, want to stay afloat and just survive and have enough where I can survive independently without needing to ask for help. So, but anyway, with the fill-in cleaner position, that probably would have been like super part-time and not that much work or not that much of a job, or probably a useless job anyway. So, but I went to call a couple of food banks, and one lady answered the phone, and she was slightly rude, and she said that the food bank starts at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That's early. That's so doggone early for a food bank at 6 o'clock in the morning. But, it'll be hard to get an Uber until like after 8 o'clock. That's when, it'll be easier. Unless it's a Saturday, then it'll be hard at 8 o'clock. But then there was another food bank that I called, and I guess I missed it. They were trying to say it was earlier today. So I don't even know if I can get up at 6 o'clock. Be there by 6 o'clock in the morning, but I'll try. But, one time, I don't have much time on this video, but it looks like it's getting a little darker in here. But just a few hours ago, for lunch, for breakfast, I just had canned pineapples and 2 peanut butter sandwiches. But I don't want to feel stupid with the video cutting me off, so let me stop talking.